Welcome in, Notre Dame fans. I am Ashton Pollard here to talk some fall camp with our football analyst at blueandgold.com, Tim Hyde. And today we're going to bring you 10 players to watch as fall camp gets underway on Friday, August 5th. So before we go through a couple of caveats here, so we're going to go pretty rapid fire. It is 10 players and we're not trying to keep you here forever. So very brief mention of the player and why they might be important to watch. And we're not going to go in any particular order, so don't look too far into that. We're also going to skip over any discussions of the obvious starters that we kind of know what we're getting from them, the Michael Mayers, the Isaiah Foskey's, and we're even going to skip over likely quarterback starter Tyler Buckner, just because there'll be plenty on him in the coming days. We don't need to go over that again. And then lastly, we're going to leave the freshmen out of this. Tim and I recorded a video earlier that you can check out that is only on the freshmen, both early enrollees and the summer enrollees. So we're skipping over them for this, but you can check out that video as well. I'll post it. It's posted in the comment section on here too. So before we jump in, make sure you hit the thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel. But without further ado, I will pass it over. Tim, who is your first player that you are going to keep an eye on this fall?
Well, first off, how nice is it to actually get ready for fall camp? And we're only a couple of weeks away from a real football game.
It's so exciting.
No barbecues, no pot of golds, no official.
No speculation, no flipping, nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Finally got some real football. So with that, I went back to spring football. And one of the comments I made after the spring game was, you got to get your 5 best offensive linemen on the field. And if that means Zeke Correll, who had a great spring game, and the buzz out of Notre Dame is moving Patterson to left guard, which means Zeke at center. So does this mean, he's my number one guy to watch, because does this solidify the offensive line? Obviously, they got 2 NFL guys out on the edges. Patterson's going to go to the NFL. Lugg's 6th year. Who would have thought? 6th year playing at Notre Dame football. So, and then Zeke, he's been in the program. This is 4th year in the program. So he's started I think 8 or 9 games he started at Notre Dame. So he's got a lot of experience. He's played in the playoff game against Alabama. Yep. So I'm hoping this is what the big move is, that it solidifies his offensive line, and it's the strength of the 2022 team.
Yep, and my first choice, I'll keep it there as well, going with Rocco Spindler, the guard rising sophomore. He was a former top 100 recruit. I think he got overshadowed a little bit by Blake Fisher. And then once Joe Alt hopped in there, he was lower rated, but had a heck of a freshman season. So I think Spindler got a little overshadowed by those two, but he's a pretty elite talent, and Harry Hiestand really likes him. He was asked if he could potentially crack into the starting lineup. And this was pre-Patterson moving over to guard. So do with that what you will. But Hiestand said he's battling. He's making a lot of progress. And Hiestand's been really impressive. Hiestand's been really impressed with him. So I kind of want to see what that progress, what that comes to over the next couple of weeks. And is he merely a serviceable backup at guard, or is he really a guy that you put in and you feel really confident that he's a very good backup and could make some progress toward being a starter next year? Tim, your turn. Another one.
My next one is Ramon Henderson.
Yeah.
So, I know they got Brandon Joseph, the All-American from Northwestern, to replace Kyle, but Ramon played a ton the second half of last year. His athleticism, playmaking ability. He's one of those guys that me personally, I hope he's on the field a ton, because he's very, very athletic. He's got length, great speed, and I'm hoping he really has a big, junior season. He plays a lot more than the nickel and the dime. He's in the every the regular rotation, which means 2023, he's the man in the middle next year. So really excited to hear what everyone's expecting him to play, but is he going to really push? Maybe it's him and Brandon Joseph as the starting 2, which would be exciting to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll go back to the offensive side of the ball for a second and go with Dion Colesey. So body type wise, he's the heir to Kevin Austin's throne. Austin's obviously onto the NFL now, played boundary for Notre Dame last season and had nearly 900 receiving yards, which led the team. So Colesey's going to be a sophomore now. He's no longer a rookie. He's 6'5". He was trying to put on a little bit of weight this spring, get up to 215, 220-ish. There's been a lot of back and forth. He maybe didn't have the standout spring that everybody wanted, but you can also come at that with the fact that it's spring ball and you don't really know exactly what you're going to get. There were a lot of injuries at wide receiver to other players. So taking a lot from the wideout group this spring, I think is a dangerous idea. But now that we are getting into the fall, Notre Dame really needs Colesey, especially they're playing a lot of high powered offenses. They're going to have to score. They need a big man on the boundary. And it's kind of Colesey or else at this point. So, Tim, who's your next one?
Just 10 seconds off of that is,
Yeah.
I think out of all the names we mentioned, I would probably put Colesey number one out of all these 10 because his importance to this football team, we can't talk about enough. So he needs to have a huge camp.
Do a video on him.
Exactly.
We might actually. Could be coming online.
Styles, all those guys. Styles we're expecting, but Colesey's that hidden guy. Like, it's yours, buddy. Go take it.
Right.
You got all the ability. Go run with it and go be the guy. So my next guy is Riley Mills. He's played a ton his first couple seasons. Started obviously last year at DN when MTA was out for the Virginia game. I believe it was Virginia. Yep. Riley Mills came in, had a couple sacks, and played great. My thing with Riley Mills is he a true DN? Is he a true MTA? Meaning taking him from the interior, moving him outside, and he doesn't miss a beat because they have a first-round draft choice in Isaiah Foskey on the other side, and you want Mills to be able to beat people one-on-one so Foskey doesn't get double-teamed each and every time it's 3rd and 8. So, teams are going to have to respect Riley Mills, and I think the importance to him and this football team is just huge on the edge this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And all signs out of the spring pointed towards that he can be that guy, but we'll see here in the coming weeks. I'm going to go with kind of a position group next as opposed to a player because we don't really know who the player is going to be. So whoever the second tight end is, obviously Mayer is tight end 1. Mitch Evans was kind of the favorite to be that second tight end heading into this season, but he has a stress fracture in his foot that required surgery. So he's out for the foreseeable future, expected back at some point, but certainly not going to be on the field in Columbus. So then you're left with 4 other guys. You're left with junior Kevin Bauman, sophomore Kane Barong, and then 2 freshmen and Eli Raridan and Holden Stays. And we talked a little bit about Stays on the aforementioned freshman video that I brought up. But yeah, the other 3, those 3 guys are all coming off of injuries in the last year. Bauman played last year in November. He was able to come back from that broken leg, but then Barong and Raridan both coming off of ACL tears. So that kind of leaves Bauman as the favorite, I guess, at this point. And he is a junior, so he is the oldest one of that group outside of Mayer. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, somebody has to break out and kind of be that second tight end, especially because Notre Dame does go with these 2 and even sometimes 3-4 tight end packages. Who's that guy going to be? And I think that Kevin Bauman's probably the favorite, but I'm interested to see if one of the freshmen can maybe step into that role too.
Yeah, my next body player here is Prince Collie. We talked so much about these 2023 linebackers and obviously Sneed, Tulialamaka and all them, the 2023 recruiting class to go with the 22 guys, there. And then Collie, people forget he was a top 100 football player.
He was really highly recruited.
On the On3 consensus. So, and he played a bunch that second half of last season, had a big spring, filled out, starting to look really good. I thought he looked athletic as could be in the spring game. So with all these upperclassmen, does he make a move to get in the regular rotation, get some big time playing time this year? Because 23 and 24, he's the guy. Right. So he's the guy. So I want to really hear about him just continually improving, getting on the field, getting in that 2 deep where he's earning meaningful reps, 20, 25 snaps a game as he gets ready to, be the bell cow for the next 2 seasons.
Yeah, and then real quickly on that, you mentioned he's bigger, faster, all of that. But I think also, and this is he's said this publicly. This is not private information, but I think he had some issues kind of just adapting to college too during his freshman season, and he's talked a lot about that. And he says he's in a much better place now, so that obviously helps your game if you're kind of in the right mental mindset as well. So looking forward to see how he does. And I'll stay in the linebacker group here and go with Maris Leofau. He is a rising senior linebacker now. He was the talk of last year's fall camp before he suffered a severe ankle injury that sidelined him for the entire season. But the last time we saw him on the field was in the Rose Bowl against Alabama, and he had 6 tackles. a little over a month before that. The day after Thanksgiving at UNC, he had 5 tackles. So he's shown that he has a talent. He's able to make these plays. It's just a matter of, can he put it all together for a second straight camp, kind of become the talk of this camp too, and hopefully avoid injury to take over that starting will linebacker spot. He is the heavy favorite to take over it, and I don't really see why he wouldn't get the nod, but we'll see. And hopefully the buzz out of camp this year is equally as deafening as it was last year.
Yeah, real quick on Maris. That's a great point. We talk about him like he's been a 2-year starter. He's been constantly playing because you hear his name so much, but really,
he 3 games, I think, in his career. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, and really the main game he played was that UNC game where they put him in to stop the RPOs, take away the slants with his length, and they blitzed him a ton when they took out the running game. Those 2 dynamic running backs.
They did blitz him a ton. That was fun to watch.
Oh, a ton. But that's really it. And then you said the Bama game. Outside of that, this is Maris's time to shine. So, I'm with you. I'm excited to see him. My last guy is a transfer that they brought in to bring some beef, a little bit of a thickness in there in the interior. And that's, Chris Smith from Harvard. Who would have thought a guy from Harvard, bringing him in to add size at Notre Dame? But it's true. He's a 300-pounder. His film was physical, point of attack, really good low base, physical football player. And, I'm hoping that we hear that, boom, everything they thought is true. He's going to be a great 2-deep nose guard to go in there and play, 24 snaps each and every game to relieve some bodies and play real physical football there in the A gap. So real excited about him.
Yeah, and then my last guy is also a transfer. So kicker Blake Groupie, he was kind of brought in to win the job. He's a 6th-year guy, so he doesn't come unless there's at least a decent chance that he's going to start. He's competing with Josh Bryan, who's going to be a sophomore. But back to Groupie, he was a first-teamer in the Sun Belt. He held several Arkansas State records. This guy's been through a lot, and I know we talk about he doesn't have the range maybe as much as, say, Adora did. His career long is 50 yards, so you're probably not gonna get those 56-yard bombs out of him, but he was pretty consistent, made 80% of his field goals. I believe he made 20 total, which led the Sun Belt last year. So the kid can kick, and the kid is pretty accurate. But that being said, this spring, the coaches weren't super jazzed with his performance. And then obviously in the spring game, he made a 36-yarder, but he also missed a 40-yarder. So kind of a bad taste left in Notre Dame fans' mouths with the kicking game heading into the fall. But I'm excited to see what he can do, what Brian can do, Brian Mason, what Josh Bryan can do. And then Brian Mason, the special teams coordinator, has said he's willing to use 2 kickers if one's good from 45 lower and one's good from 45 and up. So we'll see kind of how that shakes out. But overall, I'm really excited to see what Blake Groupie can do, because a lot of things come down to kickers.
Without a doubt. And real
better
quick,
for worse.
Yeah, and real quick on that is obviously he doesn't have the leg, he doesn't have the range, which means expect the offense when they get into that no man's land, so to speak. Expect them to already have that pre-planned and be more aggressive on 3rd down, knowing they could be going for it on 4th down. So I would expect a lot more 4-down conversion tries this year from Notre Dame once they cross midfield instead of trying to go for long field goals.
Yeah, that's fair. I think they only had, it was like 12 4th down conversion attempts last year. Like they heavily relied on Dora, and they should have. He was a very good college kicker, but that's a very good point. And we'll kind of see. It might just be one of those years where the kicking game is a little non-existent for Notre Dame, but that's life. All right. Well, we will sign off here. Before you hop off, make sure you hit the thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Check out blueandgold.com as we head into fall camp. We'll have ample insight, looking at different position groups, looking at depth charts, all of that stuff. And of course, we'll be back on here to talk about it too. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.